What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video. This one's going to be one that you guys have kind of been requesting for a long time. It's kind of like how to fly a paramotor, and by no means am I instructor, so do not take anything I'm saying to heart and just think you can just go buy gear and do everything that I'm telling you to go do. So this is just more or less just kind of showing you how things work and all that kind of sort of thing. So basically what you want to do is you want to go to a relatively large area that's got a decent amount of takeoff room. Today I obviously do not have the most large of areas, you guys can see. Got cars in front of me, got the ski, got a boat, got a truck. The thing behind it though today is we have a decent amount of wind, which is what allows me to be able to take off in such a short amount of distance. So I'll be able to set up right back there and have no more than maybe 60 to 70 foot, maybe not even that much, maybe 30 foot of takeoff room needed to actually get off into the ground. So the second the wings kind of come up, I'll explain it a little bit more as I get everything laid out and set up. So let's head over here and get everything set up. Keep everything nice and clean until you get it on the dirt. Fortunately, this is the most ideal spot. Always, 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 when you put your wing away, you always want to keep these risers going into this interlocking like that so they can never really get tangled. Lower your shoulder, start pulling all the lines out. Everyone would think this is a nightmare and it's super tangled, but by no means is it actually really tangled. Put the bag over to the side. Pull the wing out right here. Normal person that's relatively really good at paramotoring will just kite this thing right up out of the mess it's in. I typically like to actually lay the wing out correctly. So what I'm going to do here, actually set it up. And obviously you're going to want to set it up so it's actually facing into the wind, because if you're trying to take off in any other direction, it's probably not going to work out to your favor whatsoever. Next step is actually grabbing and unloading the paramotor, which is always fun, depending on your strength level. So people that are a little bit bigger are typically capable of getting this out a little bit easier. Like this guy, I always have the prop tied down so it's not spinning while you're driving. Take this guy, rotate it, get it next to the edge. If you have a bumper or a car or something like that, you can always have, like I typically, you guys see me driving with, is a strap-on kind of like, or how do I want to say it, clip-in kind of like a trailer thing. You see coolers on, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to take basically where I'm going to set up the launch. Alright, in-depth thing, going over the paramotor is obviously a huge thing. Thankfully, I actually do go over most of my gear before I even come here. I just check to make sure that while I'm actually on the way here that nothing came loose or anything of that kind of sort. So I kind of do a once over, just check all the harnesses, check all the screws, make sure everything's tight, ready to go. And I'll warm it up. Most people, you're never supposed to ground start a paramotor, but I will tend to ground start it because I'm not too worried about it as long as the throttle's not going. And if anything does happen, you just pull the plug right off the top of the spark plug. Other than that, I get all my stuff situated, laid out, get my wing ready. I definitely do a little kiting prior to actually wanting to take off. And at that given point in time, I start feeling everything out. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'll explain the steps after I get everything kind of set up, my helmet on, and we're ready to go in the air. And I'll explain the rest of it once you're in the air. So essentially now you found your spot where you're actually gonna be. You look and see how much room you're actually gonna have to take off. I have variables, I have water, I have sand. Obviously, I have this big grass patch that's up and elevated. I have the trees to the left, and I have a truck and a Jeep and an Expedition or Explorer, whatever, Tahoe or Suburban, whatever the heck that is, right there. So it's one of those straight cut kind of middle shots. For someone that's new, I would never recommend an area like this. I would recommend somewhere that's got like 20 acres, just super massive open space, very low wind day, so you can actually run out and get the feel for what it's like in a low wind situation prior to ever going with something with high wind. So what I'm going to do essentially right now is just bring the wing up, just kind of feel exactly where it's going to get pulled. There's plenty of wind right now, so it should be pretty easy to just rip it right up. That's exactly where it's coming from. Bring it down, and then nail the spot. What you do is you kind of walk it in. I'm going to end up reverse launching it because it's definitely too windy for me to do any other kind of launch. So I will flop these in like this. And what you do, if you come close, when you want to reverse launch, these are called your A-lines. These are the wings that bring up that leading edge that you see over there that catches all the air inside the top foil. Then you have your B, your C's, and I guess I could consider my brake your D or C lines kind of sort of thing. I'm not the most profound with this. I am self-taught, so excuse me if I'm a little bit off, but I know it goes A, B, C, and then D lines. So, and then you have your trim systems right here. So essentially what this stuff does is when you're fully trimmed out, it allows the wing to kind of open up all of its line, release tension so you have a better glide ratio. I'm not too in-depth and in tune with explaining it to the fullest detail, so I'm going to try to do a little bit better job of it when I get up in the air. But that's the gist of it. So right now, what you would do is you'd be strapped in with both of these inside your harness with the A-lines in the front. What I'm going to end up doing is taking these, which is way too confusing for any kind of beginner. You're going to flip these 180 and you're going to reverse clip in, so I'd kite it up like this and I would rotate. What you guys are going to see me do, this is not the typical way to launch. I can try to do a forward launch, we'll see how it goes on the first one, but typically you're going to do a reverse launch with anything over 10-mile-an-hour winds. So you're going to set this up like this, make sure your A-lines are on top, you're good to go, spaced out, and that's that. So these are your two carabiners where the wing actually attaches to the harness itself. These guys have safety locking mechanisms. You push up, turn right, depending on the system you have. People are terrified to trust these. I trust them very, very much, as most paramotor pilots would and should. Here's your primer bulb, just like any engine or kind of like, you know, yard maintenance and that kind of stuff. You have a primer bulb. You're gonna pump it once. This is for the Vitarazi 185. You're gonna push the prime to force the fuel into the top of the carburetor. One more time, and then you get it last time, third pump, so it's right there sitting at the top of the line, ready to go. Ground starting is never recommended for most individuals. I'm probably not gonna do it right now because it's not the best thing to do. Always make sure you have your throttle in your hand. We're gonna throw it on the back. You just get up underneath it, one harness after another, and at this point, you just stand up. Now I'm going to show you the starting process while I actually still have you guys right here. Before I strap into anything, you should be pretty much clipped in, but you're going to pull this over your head like this, grab both hands, get it so it's at its top stroke, and then that's it, literally. Let it warm up. I have a temperature gauge, RPM gauge right here, so you can monitor almost everything that's going on with the motor. And that's pretty much it, self-explanatory to that given point in time. And this is where your nerves start to actually kick in for your first time flying or anything like that. You hear the motor, it starts to become intimidating. You kind of can't hear everything because it gets muted with these guys on. So it's a wild animal in a certain kind of way. But that's pretty much that aspect of things. Tyler's going to get the takeoff for me. All right, guys, just like you see in all my other videos, you're going to stand up. You're going to grab these two leg harnesses right here. Flip it in. Give it a tug. I'm going to come over here with this one. Flip it in. Give it a tug. Make sure it's relatively tight. Depending on your preference and how you like it. I don't like mine tight until I get up in the air. You got your truss strap next. Tug it. You got this one, which you got a nice little handy dandy whistle too. Yeah. Because it gets all the, yeah, you know what. I'm going to try a forward launch. We're going to see how hard this is actually going to be. And then we're going to put sunscreen on because I'm a white boy and I burn. What you're also going to do when you're on the ground is a prop test also. So it's relatively warmed up. It's at 120 degrees. I'm going to lay into it like this. Throttle test to make sure that you're actually going to have full power prior to takeoff. And then we're going to clip it, which is probably the next most intimidating. So make sure, like I said, your A's are always on the top. None of the lines are tangled. The A's are on top of everything. You're going to position it as if you were flying forward. Just like that. Let them set. Just fall right down. Same with the other side. A's are on top. Set it right down. Bring it around. Strap right in. So there's that aspect of things. What you're going to do is you're going to grab your brake, run it around the back, grab your other brake, run it around the back. Like I said, guys, I'm by no means an instructor, so do not take any of this and go fly. This is not a training video whatsoever. This is just me showing how I fly a paramotor. You're going to have these out to your left and your right. You're going to have your brake kind of mounted like this. You're going to have a couple fingers on the actual throttle. You're going to have your A-lines with your thumbs pinched so you can actually get ready to release those when need be. Because this is what's going to bring up the front of your wing, and then you'll release these as you get enough oil within the cells. So wait for this car to go by. If he actually continues to move, we'll see how long it takes me to actually get off the ground right here. this. You're gonna have a couple fingers on the actual throttle. You're gonna have your A lines with your thumbs pinched, so you can actually get ready to release those when need be. Because this is what's gonna bring up the front of your wing, and then you'll release these as you get enough foil within the cells. So wait for this car to go by. If he actually continues to move. We'll see how long it takes me to actually get off the ground right here. And then you're gonna pull brake. And just like that, you're off. We'll gain a little bit of altitude real quick so we can explain the controls in the air. You guys can see the sandbar right below me. Come down to a little bit more of an idle. So what we have to the right and left of us are called our brake toggles, which allows us to do steering. So you pull right to turn right, you pull left to turn left. Pretty straightforward. You can see how the wing kind of reacts. You're pulling right, you're clearly turning right. You pull left, it's gonna bank left. You can even see it in the shadow below me. Pull right, it's gonna turn right, pull left, it's gonna turn left. Keep pulling left, we're gonna keep turning left. Pretty self-explanatory. Once again, I'm gonna state, this is not an instructional video on going and flying a paramotor without training. You 100% should go get training. I will definitely say I've had plenty of close calls to where I wish I would have got training at the beginning, and I'm still going to get it as soon as Judson has some availability to actually work with me like I've been waiting. So, other than that, like I said, you got your trim tabs right here, which as a beginner you're probably not going to use right away. You got your magnets so you can stow your brakes, slides right up, so you can go hands-free and chill, eat food, do whatever I do in my crazy YouTube videos, and then just enjoy the view, man. Typically flying over water, you want to have floats. I'm staying around the area over here where it's all shallow, so I'm not too worried about it if I had an engine out. I'm completely cool and content landing in the water over here, and that's pretty straightforward. But trim-wise, what you would do is you grab these. You can look at my ground speed. I don't know how noticed it'll be, but we'll grab the trims. You're going to let out both of them. 1, 2. You're going to sink a little bit unless you're on the throttle, and you're going to have a way faster glide attack. So it releases all the pressure on the lines, allows the wing to go from a cone shape to opening itself up. So instead of creating a super restrictive flow, you create an open glider kind of aspect. It's a different aspect ratio as to how it's going to glide. So I typically like to fly trims in depending on my mission and how far and how fast I'm trying to get somewhere. Pull those back in. But yeah, man, this is the gist of it. You can weight shift left or right depending on what kind of harness you have. So I can lean this way and literally put my brakes away and just turn this way, just like that. I'll turn my paramotor just by leaning. So there's that. All you gotta do is lean one way and the other. Pretty cool, actually. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna go in for a landing now. Show you guys the way they are. And I'm going to try to land exactly where I just took off. And there's the park right below me. So definitely trim. I'm flaring out right now, which is basically just, this is what you do when you actually want to land. I'm coming in for literally the slowest land you could possibly ever see. So I'm going to pivot once. The wind's going to continue to slow me down. And then you're going to get yourself out of your chair and ready to land. Come right over top of this. Then we're going to pretty much drop down. And we're just going to flare out because you have plenty of wind to do so.
And then we're going to turn around and we're going to try to kite it right back down. No.
Do it yourself. I am by no means a trainer. I'm not certified. This is not me saying go ahead and buy gear, watch this video, and go flying. This is not what this is for whatsoever. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I'll put some more clips in of a 3D point of view while I'm flying. But like, subscribe, comment, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Stay blessed and have a great day. Peace.